I see it. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Syck Flicks with Dylan and Skip. I'm your host and friend, Skip Marazi, here for your daily review or weekly review of a fun movie here with Dylan Farr, stand-up comedian from the Michigan area. What's up, Dylan?
What is up, everybody? I'm your autistic Spitfire, and I am glad to be reviewing this movie today. This is one of my favorites.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that it's definitely a classic. Have we mentioned the title yet? Yeah, we're reviewing Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China. I'm
1986 Kurt
sorry,
Russell film, John
Kurt
Carpenter.
Russell. Oh yeah, it was directed by
Yeah,
Carpenter.
it's a John
Okay,
Carpenter film. Yeah, that's why Kurt Russell
that,
is
that
really.
makes so much sense.
And we're
Like,
gonna talk about
so
that.
much sense.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that because John Carpenter really waves his dick around a lot. Ah, God, I just lost monetization. I'm sorry, y'all. Subscribe, and share so that we could get the attention we need. But he's
It's
waving his
funny
artistic
that
member around, especially heavy towards the end of the movie. But yeah, 1986, 7.2 on the IMDb. We're here doing a Cox in Space review as I work on the animation for Cox in Space. We're almost getting finished with the Peter and Richard sing along set. So I'm excited to show that to you guys as we have been
Cox in
Cox in
Space.
Space. So that's the theme song and whatnot. So it's just getting them to in a place that I can get them to sing.
There's
So
cocks in space. They're crowing at weird vagina looking things. I
it's
don't
a
know.
gravity
That
well.
makes
I don't know.
my
Well, you think that looks like something else? It's a gravity well. Um, so that's a very strange interpretation. I can see that you have thoughts on your brain, but they're chickens, right? They don't have those parts. Um, they have a cloaca. And
Have you met roosters? They be roosters be screwing.
they do, but they do it with their cloaca, and they do it like this. It's like scissoring, but the animal kingdom. Um, so
Except the scissors are actually doing some piercing.
basically, what I'm saying is I don't like money, and I don't like YouTube giving us free money, and that's why we're going to keep talking about this, and that's why we're promoting Cox and Space, particularly on YouTube, where it's impossible for us to monetize it. So yeah, guys, if you want to help us out, go to coxspace.com, go support us on our Patreon. You can definitely do that. Help us spread the word, get the view count up, so we can start putting in other fun things for you. Look for merchandise that we have coming out pretty soon here. We're gonna have that commissioned, and we'll see that in a couple of weeks. But yeah, that's that. Yeah, the animal kingdom is fun how it works. Birds are different than mammals in that way. So yeah, it is just like suckerfish fighting. Um, so yeah,
Oh,
now
I
we've got
forgot Carpenter did this movie too. This is another one we're gonna have to do.
which is that?
Assault on Precinct 13 from
That
1976.
that's John Carpenter also?
Yes, sir.
Wow. No, I will. Wow. We're not going to review it next week, but let's put that on the list as potential movies to check out. That I did not know was a John
We should
Carpenter film.
also we should also do They Live.
We could do review They Live. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's not my favorite Carpenter film. I would love to do The Thing, honestly, because The Thing is fantastic.
The thing is one of his like biggest ones.
Absolutely, and it's probably been overly reviewed if we're honest with ourselves on YouTube because it's so well known. I mean, like every time I turn around, I feel like there's another The Thing review. But yeah, if do you want to run down John Carpenter's IMDb real quick to let people know kind of if they're not familiar? Because one of his big ones is Halloween, if I remember right, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so like the Halloween franchise is huge, and then so many more. I mean, we've mentioned a couple that I can think of off the top of my head. Um, this one you said was a sleeper, John Carpenter, and it is in kind of way. Like it's more its own movie than it is particularly John Carpenter, because I think that the Thing has more of that feeling to it that is his style of movie. Assault on Precinct,
He's got.
this seems, yeah, that I mean, I just wow, it seems way
Let
outside of
me
his
see.
wheelhouse.
Well, that's one of his earliest films.
Really?
We have. Yeah, that's from 1976. That's his
Okay.
fourth film that he wrote.
What does he do before that?
We have Captain Voyeur, which was a short.
Okay.
The Resurrection of Bronco Billy,
Okay.
Dark Star. Then we get to Assault on Precinct 13. Then we have The Eyes of Laura Mars, Zuma Beach. Then we have the one everyone loves, Halloween.
Halloween, of course. Okay. Wait, and what year was
Then
that? Halloween came out.
Halloween was 1978.
Okay, gotcha. So I mean, he's making films. He's getting credits for them and being recognized, but still he's not doing his iconic movie until that's almost
That was
five to.
his
Yeah.
seventh film. He started out in
Oh my God,
'69. It
nice.
took 9 years for him to make Halloween.
Yeah, and so again, like I like to look at things like this. I say again as if I've said this before, and I may have, but one of the reasons I like looking at the careers of people is because like it can be really discouraging when you're in the middle of things trying to make stuff, and then when you're like it took almost a decade before John Carpenter gets to make Halloween, then you have to be like, okay, things just take some time sometimes. You're in the middle of the ride, everything's gonna be all right, to quote Jimmy Eat World.
Let me see. Then after Halloween, we got Someone's Watching Me, which is a TV movie. I'm guessing it's more stalkerish, considering it's called Someone's Watching Me.
Yeah, it was. That's film.
Better.
That's starring Sting, right? Every breath you take, every move you make. Um,
Actually, it stars Laura Hutton.
that one I'm gonna have to Google. Laura Hutton. Let me pull that up on screen for anyone who is interested in seeing it.
Lauren.
Lauren,
Lauren Hutton.
Lauren Hutton. Okay. Uh, yeah. So, and then
She was the Countess in Once Bitten.
oh yeah. Okay, gotcha. With the gap in her teeth. Yeah, she's very recognizable. Um, she as the accountants in yeah Jim Carrey, the movie that Jim Carrey's in Once Bitten, which is a fantastic movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, it's so fun. Um, it's so silly. It's about a virgin trying to get laid so that he can break a witch's curse. So it's like it's essentially an '80s movie. It's so essentially an '80s movie. And Jim Carrey is like adorably young at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Like, that was his, like, first major film, if I
it's
remember
it's one of
correctly.
them. I think his first one actually. Well, so there's a couple of them. Sorry, this is kind of a side. So he's in a Clint Eastwood movie. He's actually in two Clint Eastwood movies. The ones that are about the Dirty Harry movies. He's doing stand up in the back of one of them, and then later he's in the next movie. I think it's four. He's like a rock star that gets killed of an overdose or something. Um, and then he does Earth Girls Are Easy, if I remember right, and that's where he really like his breakout role is when he's working with the Wayans brothers on True or In Living Color, and then he does Earth Girls Are Easy with them. But yeah, one of his early ones for sure. Although maybe Once Bitten is
His
that his first?
earliest one, his earliest film is a TV movie called Rubber Face.
Of
And we
course.
have All in Good Taste, Copper Mountain, The Sex and Violence Family Hour, which is a video. Buffalo Bill, he was on a TV series called Buffalo Bill. He was a Jerry Lewis impersonator.
Okay, of course.
Finders Keepers, The Duck Factory, which is another TV series. Then came Once Bitten. That was
Damn.
his big,
Very
big
first breakout role.
breakout.
Okay. Holy cow.
Then
Sorry
Peggy
about
Sue
messing up your
got
guys'
married.
timeline.
The
Okay, of
Deadpool,
course.
the
The Deadpool is
Deadpool
that, yeah,
came. The
that's the Dirty Harry movie. I forgot he's in Peggy
um,
Sue Got Married. Yep, you're right.
Earth Girls are
That's
easy.
yeah. So you're right. The one that I
Mike
was thinking was his
Hammer
first one. Yeah, sorry about
murdered. Mike Hammer, Murder Takes All. Pink Cadillac. Julie Brown because I'm a blonde. That's a
Wow.
music video.
Right.
High Strung, he was Death.
Okay.
He was uncredited
He
for
has a
that.
lot of bit roles here. Yeah.
Another one is a TV movie called Doing Time on Maple Drive. Then there's a short, The Itsy Bitsy Spider. He played an exterminator, voice as Jim Carrey. Then came Ace Ventura in
Holy crap. Okay,
1994.
so talk about the space between Ace Ventura and Once Bitten. Like, how many years is that?
Once Bitten was 85,
Oh, geez.
and Ace Ventura was 94.
Yeah, okay, so another 9 year gap, right? Between there's a decade between him doing his first feature and him being recognized. Because Ace Ventura is the one where he's like he becomes like the comedic icon that he's recognized as, right? He breaks into
Well,
the big public sphere. He'd been
we
known
have to
before, but
remember we have to remember in 94 he had Ace
mm-hmm,
Ventura, he was doing In Living Color,
mm-hmm,
he did The Mask,
mm-hmm,
he did
and
Dumb
Dumb
and
and Dumber,
Dumber,
yeah.
and he was in a Tone Lock video.
Yeah, that was the year, and that's one of the reasons. I mean, we list those three movies: Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber. The fact that they all come out at the same time really like cements Jim Carrey. But like he was struggling for 10 years between doing his first feature and then actually like being in a movie, like being like recognized as Mr. Carrey as he is today, right?
Yeah, like one of my favorite movies that a lot of people these days don't like it is Me, Myself, and Irene.
That one's really, really funny. It's not. I would. Yeah, I would say that there's a lot of like weak points in that movie for sure, and I can understand in his filmography that a lot of people aren't going to rank it really high. But Renee Zellweger is really fun in that movie, for one.
Oh yeah. I
And
just enjoyed the movie because I have my own mental issues, and I'm like, I can identify with this man
sometimes it
trying
did
to
be
be
feeling like
nice
that.
constantly, and just sometimes you just want an alter ego to literally take control and just be like, yeah, we're gonna fuck shit up today.
My favorite line in that movie is, after they hook up and he holds up this large black, phallus and he's like, "What is this?" And she's like, "You used it on yourself." Like, and his look on his face, like, um, and there's so many. God, there are so many like corny bits in that movie too, because it's a Fairley Brothers movie, right? Like it's another like the Dumb and Dumber
Yeah,
guys who made that movie make that Me, Myself, and Irene. Yeah, yeah, that's fun. Well, here we are. We've correlated John Carpenter and Jim Carrey, even though there's no real correlation there, except for they were working on films together. They shared one actress, Laura Hutton, I've made some audacious claims that were
yeah.
unsupported by facts. So thank you, Dylan, for helping us out in that. So, but like I just want to, but the correlation still exists. I'm glad that we're kind of hitting on this. That like if you're struggling as an artist, especially even as a professional artist, like it takes time. It takes time
Yeah.
to hit your thing. It takes time to hit your Ace Ventura Mask Dumb and Dumber moment. If you get it at all, not everyone gets those moments. So, but yeah, that's if they had given up early, that we wouldn't have all the things that we have from them. This movie is great. It's really. I think that Big Trouble in Little China is a really. It's a staple of the '80s. It's widely recognized for being
It really is.
very much an '80s type movie. I think it suffers from the things that '80s type movies do, where they have a lot of like fluff and romp. And not necessarily substance, which I was surprised to see it coming from a John Carpenter, because when I saw that, I was like, oh, I want more. And then I was like, I don't remember the plot of this movie at all. And then as I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember why I don't remember the plot at all. Because it's fucking random as shit. Like, it's just.
It really is.
That,
Oh
it
my
does.
gosh. It like jumps everywhere. It is
Yeah.
an ADHD nightmare.
Yeah, it
Like
definitely
nowhere
feels like
near
cocaine.
as it's nowhere like everything everywhere all at once
Yes,
was,
not to
thankfully.
the same
It's
degree. You
more
can follow it.
concise and like I could follow it. But it's still jumping around more
It,
than an ADHD person.
Yeah, it really does. And there's the moments that they're like, oh, you're not going to understand what's going on. We're going to have to exposit real quick, hard, and let me get you these lines so that it'll happen. And then it's like, okay, now we're going to move on to more of the action. So I would say if you go in to watch this movie, don't expect a quality, quote unquote, movie. Like you're not going to get like all the things you might want from some of the movies that we do recommend on this. Based off the fact that it has a 7.2 on IMDb, I think that this movie gets more respect than it deserves. Although I'm still saying that I enjoy this movie a lot. It's a really fun ride, and if you haven't seen it, you definitely should see it because it's a fun ride. It's Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I think
yeah.
where is it? Yes, they have it on here.
What is it?
That opening monologue when he's in the truck.
Okay, hang on. Before we get there, let me just do the one thing real quick because we're gonna get there. I think it's a great monologue. What happens first? John Waters. God, this would be an interesting John Waters movie. It'd be a very different
If
angle.
John
If
Waters
John
in
Waters
Big
had done
Trouble in Little
Trouble in Little
China,
China, there'd
there'd
definitely
be
be
a
more
whole
drag queens.
musical number.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'd be a whole
The whole
musical
in the alley,
number and
yeah, it'd be a musical
everything.
number. Yeah, it'd be half drag queens. It'd be half like crying like leather daddies. You know.
Cry, baby, cry,
Yeah,
cry,
yeah.
cry.
I would watch that movie. If anyone wants to do that. Anyway, but yeah, so it starts with us meeting this guy Egg Shen, which racist, and because he does these tours, the Egg Foo Young tours. Also, this movie is real racist. Like you'll notice that there's a lot of like just racist names for people. The one of the main characters' names is Wang. You know, and there's like the bad guy's name is Lo Pan, which like they were like, what Asian words can we use that sound like English words? Uh,
We need to we need to bring up who played Egg Shen.
yeah, and who was Egg Shen? Because he's a famous
Victor Wong.
who and
Now
he,
I knew
go
him
for it.
most of all. I knew him from Tremors.
Oh,
He
right,
was the
good,
shop owner. He was the shop owner in Tremors.
good call, good call. Um,
He was
but
also.
longtime
I'll
actor.
do you one better. I'll do you one better. He was Grandpa in Three Ninjas.
There's the one that I knew him from. I was like, I recognize that face. He's definitely like part of my childhood, and I could not remember who it was. Yeah, Three Ninjas. The Asian guy. I don't know if that's racist, but yeah, a Chinese man,
He
I
was
believe.
also
He's
in.
Chinese, who teaches the kids how to
He was
fight.
also in The Golden Child with Eddie
Okay.
Murphy.
Yes, yes. The black guy who finds out that he's the chosen one somehow. Or is he's hired to protect the golden child?
Yep, and he turns out to be the chosen one or
Okay, yeah, no, he is. Yeah,
whatever.
he's the
It
chosen
was
one. Yeah,
it was the chosen one type film where it's
yeah,
like, yeah, you're chosen to protect the golden child.
yeah. This Special Boy story with Eddie Murphy. Very, very strange cast. But I mean, if you haven't seen it, fun. Again, it's an Eddie Murphy from the '80s movie. Um, so yeah, so we get introduced to him, and he sets up this story. His attorney is like interviewing him for this deposition, which we actually never see the end of. I really wanted to see that at the end of the movie. What happened with that? But it just kind of like leaves it open. But the attorney asked him, who is another famous actor. He's like, you don't really believe in magic because they're talking about this guy Jack, who is played by
Jack Burton.
Jack Burton, who's played by
Jack Burton. I'm sorry, we have to say the name. It deserves some respect. He saved the world. Jack
Jack
Burton.
Burton. Yeah, and that's the man's take too. He's like, we really owe him a debt of gratitude because of what he did here today. And the guy's like, he blew up a whole city block. Like, how could you be saying that? And he's like, well, he defeated magic. And then the man opens up his hands and he proves that magic is real by making lightning strike between the two of them, I believe is the event.
Yep, and he's like, that's how it starts.
Yeah,
Always small.
it's always small, and then it cuts to Kurt Russell, the truck driver, upon aboard the Pork Chop Express. So yeah, you want to that
And
opening
then he's
monologue?
like, he's giving like he's using the
CB.
CB radio, and he's just monologuing on the CB radio.
Yeah, the
And one
rain's
of my
coming down. It's late
favorite
at night.
Yep. It's one of my favorite lines. It's like I told my ex-wife, I never drive faster than I can see, and besides that, it's all in the
It's
reflexes.
all in the reflexes, which becomes key to the movie, right? He says it a
Yep.
couple more times. Uh, when both times actually when knives are thrown at him or come heading his way, and it's supernatural the way that he all in the reflexes is able to deal with that situation, and stuff like
But
have you paid
then
your dues, Jack? And he's like, yeah, the
I was
check's in
about
the
to, I was
mail.
about to go that when some wild-eyed, 8 foot tall maniac grabs your neck, taps the back of your favorite head up against the barroom wall, and he looks you crooked in the eye, and he asks you if you paid your dues. You just stare that big sucker right back in the eye, and you remember what old Jack Burton always says at a time like that.
What did he
Have you
say?
paid your dues, Jack? Yes, sir. The check
The
is in the
the
mail.
check is in the mail, and he's they're setting up the way that Jack talks because he says that later. He'll be like, it's like old Jack Burton always says, and then he'll just say some random shit, right? Like,
Yeah, it is like
hey, you're like, oh, is
it's
that a
like at
quote we
one
didn't
point
know?
the one guy's like, "Who?" and he's like, "Jack Burton,
Me.
me."
Like, so Jack is a legend in his own mind, which is fantastic. I would have loved to see, like Halloween was a franchise. I would have loved to see a Jack Burton franchise, because the character is really funny, and I feel like a little bit of spoilers, but the conclusion of this film sets up a Big Trouble in Little China sequel or a Jack Burton sequel, that they never really follow up on. I mean, obviously now, I mean, because it's 2026, that's been 40 years. Happy birthday to my brother. Uh,
That would be a sequel for the ages, I think.
Actually, if Kurt Russell came back and played Jack Burton again to like finish this series or finish that like do it like a bookend where he's at in his career now, you know what I mean? Like because he's like kind of playing those like devious villain types, it would be interesting to see him because it's almost the exact opposite of this character, where he is
Oh
and what he
yeah.
has become.
Well,
And he's
if
not an
you
evil
look
person. I
at
just think he's looking for
if you
variety.
look at Kurt Russell's career, he always played the heroes in most things.
Early on, yeah, he's a hero. He's a heartthrob, um, and he's got the face and the hair for it. So why wouldn't he? And him becoming a villain, I think, is more of like our modern, like our current response to how we feel about white cis males in general and them falling upwards. I think is like why, like we're like maybe the white guys that we're celebrating aren't as cool as we thought they were. Is kind of like what we've been seeing a lot in society and also in cinematography or in films. So that could explain it. Maybe it's easier for us to
Well,
be
we
like we've
also
been
have to
betrayed.
remember, like, even though he's played villain characters, like in
I was going to point
Guardians
out
of the
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Galaxy
and he's played
Volume
like some bad
2,
cops and stuff like that too.
he he plays Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He plays the
So
main villain.
yeah, spoilers, guys. It's a surprise. You shouldn't know that if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but we ruined it for you, and that's what our job is here. Kidding. But
But then the following year, he goes on to the Christmas Chronicles and plays Santa Claus.
he did that. I didn't realize those are consecutive like that. Okay, huh? Okay, I'm off, right? Because he's actually playing a genuine Santa Claus. I think the one I was thinking of is that he's in the Hateful Eight, where he's playing like essentially a Santa Claus character, but like he's a bounty hunter. Um, at one point, he punches a
Yeah.
woman out of a carriage. Um, I think that's or somebody
Well,
else. No,
in all
Samuel L.
fairness,
Jackson punches him. Yeah.
in all fairness,
In all fairness.
I'm not
Oh.
condoning the punching, but at the same time, the character that she played,
Well,
Jesus Christ,
they are establishing her character for sure. That's she likes to be vicious like that, and she likes people to be vicious around her like that. And 100%,
exactly
yeah.
like
We're not supporting beating women. I think that it's justified within the
I'm just
story because
saying
of how hateful all
in
of
the
them are.
storyline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that it's called the Hateful Eight for a reason.
yeah, Tarantino knows what he's doing, and he's not making statements like you should beat women, because he expects you to understand the context of why that is occurring in that story, which some audiences
One of
can't.
his one of the best villains he played,
Kurt Russell,
I think, yes, was Stuntman Mike in
in
Death
Death Proof.
Proof.
See, that was the other one that I was thinking of, another Tarantino movie, where he likes to. Well, Tarantino likes to do this. He likes to
And
take an actor, cast him
I
against type, and make him do extra different stuff with the surprise, right?
yeah, well, I love Death Proof for a different reason. I'm sorry.
You
I
love Death Proof.
had
That's a
the
surprise. Okay, what do you love it for?
um Rose McGowan's uh shorts, I should say.
That will not get us
I
demonetized.
love
That
Rose
should kick us in the
McGowan.
pants. Actually, yeah. Though.
I
Um.
loved Rose McGowan.
Mhm, mhm.
My brother had the biggest crush on her, but I'm like,
She is a
I just
cutie.
thought she was beautiful. She
Yeah,
was beautiful,
she really
dude.
is. Yeah, I will give you that. I will call that. So, Death Proof and Planet Terror came out as a two-part set. Generally, like if you got one, you would get the other one. Part of the two
Yep,
sets.
it was a grind.
Or
It
like
was Grindhouse.
grindhouse double feature. I think is what the idea was, is to put them together. So I'm
Yep,
more partial to Planet Terror only because of the machine gun leg. I think that's probably one of the greatest cinematic moments that ever happened, because it like they do this bit where there's like they're talking about it and then it cuts and then it just cuts to the leg, her doing like the shooting with the leg. Um, and I yeah like
I'm
I
sorry.
like
The fact she got pregnant because the one guy could never miss. That was just phenomenal writing. He's like, I never miss. I'm like, God damn, dude.
So
I'm like,
I mean, so like, yeah,
dude.
Death Proof is a remake, which is fine. Planet Terror, yeah. So anyway, but it biases me to that movie, even though it has its own chops to it. Kurt Russell's in it, of course, and being Stuntman Mike, right? Like this terrible villain with an eye patch and everything. Um, so uh, so right, uh, yeah. So
What is
that is our
this?
hero. Jeff,
Apparently, there was an extended ending to Big Trouble in Little China that was like in
wait.
2001.
Really? Do they? Okay. Can we? We'll need to get to the ending so that we could talk about that. So because I want to discuss it because yeah. Anyway, and I don't want to spoil it before we get there. That was with Kurt Russell. So he's Jack Burton. He's rolling into San Francisco. He's rolling in the middle of the night in the rain. He pulls into the San Francisco market. He starts negotiating with the locals. He's drinking with them and gambling to show that he's like a
Yeah.
man of the people. And this is why we
We
love
should really,
Burton.
we should really emphasize he's hanging out with the Asian community.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why like he's a man of the people. Like it's not like
That's the, he's
he went into San Francisco and found the white people, the hippies to hang out with or whatever at that time. He goes in and he's one on one with all the locals. They're nodding at him. They know him. Like they're sitting and drinking with him. One of his good friends is the guy that runs one of the restaurants there, and they're sitting and
yep.
gambling together. And
uh,
that's when we meet Wang.
Wang Chi,
Yeah,
played
again,
by Dennis Dunn.
again, a little bit racist to call him Wang Chi, but because
It
those
was
are just yeah, it's the '80s.
that was the time of
Yeah,
yeah, it
they're
was the
they're trying to
time
be
that
super
they were in.
stereotypical on purpose. But what's interesting is he Dunn is actually credited above James Wong, and I was like. That's weird because James Wong is obviously this is the reason we watched Big Trouble in Little China is because he's way more prolific. I think we said like in the last episode 492 credits or something like that. Like the man is prolific. Like he has done so
James
much.
Hong.
Hong, did I
Let's
say
see.
Wong? Oh Jesus, I am the racist one
You're
apparently.
racist,
I'm not
dude.
meaning to.
You're
I'm
being
so
racist.
sorry. I'm just
You're
riffing off the
the one
cuff,
being
and I am
racist.
an idiot.
The movie isn't just racist. It made you racist.
No! Guys, don't watch Big Trouble in Little China. It will make you racist. That's going to be our thumbnail. um, that'll be the preview to like, you need to watch this episode.
400 Okay, I love this. 469 titles so far with two
Nice.
upcoming.
And two upcoming. My man, who is almost 90 now, is still working.
Let's see. Let's get his actual age. He was
Yes.
born in 1929.
29. So 29. Yeah, so he's
He's
actually
97.
okay, I said
He's
almost 90. He's
97.
actually almost 100 years old and he's still working.
February 22nd, 1929 is his birthday. He
Okay, of
is
course.
almost 100 years old.
Our man
Jesus.
is still taking roles, which means that when he did Everywhere All at Once, which is just a few years ago, he was in his 90s. Looked fucking great, was still doing action. Um, Limited action, obviously. But there are actors there are actors who are famous. I'm not going to call them out, but there are a number of actors who are well known and famous who retire in their 60s and 70s because they can't do the action, they can't remember their lines anymore. They're kind of declining. Our man here, and this is why I'm like I can't believe he's not more highly credited. Our man here is doing these films and has two upcoming projects when he's approaching 100. So bravo again. He's definitely worth watching this movie because he plays the main villain, Lopan, and he does a variety of makeup. He does stunts. He does the action in it. Really great, really, and he does a fantastic villain too. Like he's one of like the Lopan, the villain is one of my favorite characters in this movie. The other ones I feel like really pale in comparison to his portrayal of this very evil ancient demon, who's taken over a man and made him live for centuries.
Well, actually, no. He was there before. He was a sorcerer before China was formed, before the seven warring provinces of
Yeah,
China
see,
were
that's what I'm talking
united
about.
under Emperor Qin.
Yeah,
Um,
like this is an ancient being that we're seeing in America in
and he
Chinatown.
was he was put under a curse by the first emperor of China as well.
Oh, okay, so he's put under a curse that gives him a long life, and that's why he's trying to summon the demon.
Yeah, he's no. What he's trying to do is he's trying to get. Okay, so he has
Yes,
to
please explain the plot because I
marry.
was really having a
He
hard time
has
following it.
the whole goal of Lopan is to marry a woman with green eyes,
Yes, and in China, of course,
which
that's super rare. It's so rare, in fact, that they
yeah,
couldn't hire an Asian actress, and they made her wear green contacts. The same thing with the other actors too, is that you could tell that they're especially now with HD. I think it was meant to be filmed. You're supposed to see it far away on a screen, and so you're not supposed to be able to see the fine details of them wearing contacts. But yeah, they are. In order to get them both to have green eyes, they didn't cast green-eyed women. Um, they made them both wear contacts. I'm sorry. So yeah, he has to marry a green-eyed woman, and then he has to sacrifice her or something, right?
what he has to do is he has to marry her to become flesh and blood again,
Fleshy.
but he also has to make a sacrifice
Which he
to
finds out there's two women, and so he can marry one and still have a sacrifice. So convenient. Sorry, man, I cut you off.
okay, this is interesting. Um, the person that played Mao Yin, um,
The Wang's love interest, right? The
yes,
the one who doesn't have any hardly any lines in the movie. Actually, does she speak in the movie at all?
kinda. Her name is Susie Pie.
Okay, Susie.
Yeah.
And she's really pretty.
Um,
Like seriously, like as soon as she showed up on
she
screen, I
did
was like,
some
oh my god,
fashion modeling
I can
in
see
New
that.
York City
I
and
can see
was a
that.
Liberty Bells cheerleader for the football team, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
Moreover, Susie was the pet of the month in January 1981 issue of Penthouse. She appeared in a
Yo,
follow-up
yo,
pictorial
get
in
that
the
magazine.
June 1982 issue of the same famous men's magazine.
Oh
Pye
my
has
god.
acted in a few movies. She was especially memorable as a blind lady of the night, Siquan in Sharky's Machine, 1981, and and part as a Vietnamese Lady of the Night in First Blood, 1982, was cut from the final set. Her small part as a Vietnamese Lady of the Night in First Blood, 1982, was cut from the final theatrical version of the film. Moreover, Susie had a recurring role as piano player Billy Lowe in the short-lived TV series Tattingers, 1988.
Listen, all I'm saying is that
She quit acting in
Hollywood
the
did her
90s
dirty.
and
They did her fucking dirty.
kept a she quit acting in the 90s and kept a low profile ever since.
Yeah, because they were treating her like shit the entire time. They're like, yeah, you can pose nude and you can be a lady of the night. That's what you can do. Oh, and you're vaguely like from not here. Like you have an ethnic kind of like exotic look. Yeah, we'll use that for everything. But you're not allowed to talk or have your eyes be the right color, stuff like that. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
in
sorry,
all
so sorry,
fairness,
Susie.
working opposite Sly Stone on Sly
Wait, you talking about?
Stallone,
Oh yeah, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. In First Blood,
they call him Sly. Did you ever notice that his friends will call him Sly?
I've never noticed that. Is there a reason for that? Do you think because he's like doing things on the sly, or you think it's just because his name's is he's even saying Sylvester?
Yeah, it's something. Hollywood people are weird.
They do got they yeah well and again it's the 80s, super sexist, very racist time in Hollywood, as we found out, right? So of course people are getting mistreated because historically we find out that that's been going on pretty consistently. um, the yeah so there's the thing. So there's a woman who the woman's name is she's a lawyer and her name is something lawyery, like it's like white lawyer lady is her name, something law, I think.
Oh, you're talking about Kim Cattrall as Gracie Law.
Yeah, her name is literally Gracie Law in the movie, and she's a lawyer. Again, this is where I'm like, really lazy kind of naming scheme, so that people be like, we know who she
It's
is.
John Carpenter.
That's fair. That's fair. He does like to be pretty on the nose, right? Um, so, so
Have you
Gracie Law.
seen Body Bags?
No, I have not. Is it like super on the nose like that?
It is the reason he doesn't act,
Oh,
because he acts in it.
really? Is it bad?
Yeah,
Is it real bad?
it's one of his lowest rated films.
Good job. Um, that's funny. But yeah, so the Gracie Law is picking up Mei Ling, or whatever her name is, whatever her
No, she's picking up a different woman. Mount
oh,
Yin is being picked up by
Wang.
Kurt Russell and
Right,
Dennis Dunn.
right,
So by Wang and Jack. Jack won a bet with Wang
right.
because Wang was trying to keep the money he lost while gambling.
Yeah,
They were playing dominoes,
yeah. Um,
and he bets him, I can cut this bottle in half, with this knife, and it's a glass bottle. You're not going to cut a glass bottle in half. You're
Apparently,
going to
it worked.
shatter.
It had worked before, and that's why he was so sure about it. He said his reflexes were thrown off because he was missing the love of his life. He was thinking too hard about it. But that's the first instance where we get to see Jack catch a knife, and then he's like, "It's all in the reflexes," because the guy tries
No,
to
he
like
doesn't catch the knife. He catches the
the
bottle.
bottle. Right, the
He
bottle goes shooting
catches
out.
the
Yeah,
bottle. The
yeah. I'm so
bottle
sorry.
shoots out when he tries to cut it in half, and Jack's like, catches it and sets it on the table.
And then it's all in the reflexes thing. So he's trying to weasel out of paying him the double or nothing money. And so instead he's like, "Hey, I got to go do this thing." He's like, "I got to go pick up this woman at the airport." And Jack's like,
And
"Get in the
Jack's
truck.
like,
We're gonna go pick him up."
I'll drive you.
And
He's
he
like, I'll
decides to
drive
drive
you.
to the airport in the cab of a diesel, right? Like it's like a big old thing.
It was the 80s, okay?
And also it's necessary to the plot because the woman that they're weighing that is trying to pick up gets captured by this gang who is wearing a pair of very racist sunglasses. and they're slit-eyed, in case you're wondering. And
Um,
and
let
then
me see
Gracie Law
if
kind of
I
like points out
can.
like, what are they doing here? They're this type of gang. And then there's this like pursuit through the city trying to find them that finally gets them in this alleyway there where a Jets and Sharks moment breaks out right between these two rival gangs. Um,
Yeah, the Changxi and the Wing Kong.
And one of my favorite moments about this fight that breaks out is that you kind of expect that it's going to be like swords and kicking, but it starts with Tommy guns and them like opening fire on each other, which is hilarious. Because it's
Like, and then they go to the
and
conventional,
and then
like,
they go,
hand to
and
hand
then
weapons.
yeah, start kicking the crap out of each other and swinging weapons around and stuff like that. Like it's not necessary. The whole Tommy gun thing is not necessary. Also, it would totally destroy the truck that's locked in that alley. But it is what it is. It's a fun ride for that. And then these
Did
complete
you
different
did
people show
you
up.
notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 men known as the Hatchet Men. They were called Wing Kong Hatchet Men, is what
Yeah.
they're listed as.
And
That's funny.
yeah, that I mean that's their role, and they are the and this gang fights this fight breaks out. It is a fun sequence to see. John Carpenter doesn't generally do wuxia, so seeing him do this in a San Francisco alley set is really cool. There's really close shots, like people falling and flying, kicking the crap out of each other, because this is where the supernatural element gets introduced, and there is a little like Easter egg because you get to see James Hong, in very old age makeup, kind of peek over his shoulder before it happens, and it's kind of like one of those blink if you blink you'll miss it kind of moments. But then all hell breaks loose, and these like deity like fighters show up. They have a special
The
name, something with the wind,
the
warriors of the
three
wind. Oh
storms.
yeah, the
They're
three
known
storms.
as the three storms: thunder, rain, and lightning.
That would make sense, and they have powers along those lines too. Um, Someone's throwing lightning. A guy eventually inflates so much that he
Like,
explodes.
I'm sorry, this is one of my favorite scenes because you get the one guy, like the one guy has the claw sticks that look
Yeah,
like back scratchers of doom.
back
The one
scratches
guy
of doom.
has a knife, or I don't remember what the first guy has. The next guy has like back scratches of death,
You love the back
and
scratches of
then
death. You
the
got
third
to.
one, he's got the egg beaters of doom on his hands. They just start spinning on his hands, and I'm like, beware my egg beaters of death.
And so this really justifies like what Egg had been saying since the beginning, is that magic is real, and it takes place, and that you don't like they know about it, but it's like a kind of a secretive kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then we get this idea,
They
Jack the White Guy is
decide
beginning to
that
see.
like
Sorry.
Jack gets scared and he decides to drive through.
Right, but he loses the truck somehow in this sequence. Because this
Yeah,
is where they capture the
have
truck, and then they
they
spend the whole
run
rest of the
over
movie chasing it.
Lopan.
Oh,
They
that's
run
right.
over
We
Lopan
finally meet
and they
Lopan
get
in full
out.
makeup.
Yep, they get out and he does
He does a
sound, and like he has bright lights come out of his eyes and then his
yeah,
mouth,
yeah.
and I breathe. I breathe Mentos freshness on you type light.
Right?
And he
Oh,
makes Jack go blind, and so they have to abandon the truck,
yeah.
and the truck ends up getting stolen.
The gang steals
Um,
it. It's Jack's only way
they
of making money. That's his pork chop express. So he wasn't involved. He didn't care about these people or their problems or anything like that. But he does care about his truck. Um, so there's that. He was
they
flirting.
eventually
He was flirting with Gracie Law before at the airport, and then they have this very Leia Han kind of like relationship where they're like hating on each other.
yeah, that was very typical of the time. That was typical of the time
And it
for a
is,
lot of
yeah.
relationships
Um,
in movies.
there is, yeah.
I've never met a woman that hated me and loved me at the same time. They usually just hate me.
Or love you. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, so I feel like they really did her dirty in a lot of ways because a lot of Gracie's lines are explaining the plot, especially early on. And also it kind of feels like she was originally supposed to be a male character to like get along with Jack, and then they later decided to change it to a love interest. Um, because it kind of feels like shoehorned a little bit. Um, but for the plot, it makes sense that there are two women. So I don't know, maybe it wasn't. And then she speaks the way that Jack speaks, which I find really strange because he has a very distinct "yeah, sucker, you want to come at me" kind of way of being. And for her to do that as a lawyer, again, it reads super weird. So if you're looking at the actress Cottrell and being like Kim Cattrall, and you're like, dude, what is going on with her? I think it has less to do with her being a bad actress and more to do with what John gave her as like in the writing and the script, and she's doing what she can. Like a lot of it, she realizes, I'm sure, that she's a prop to this story. Like she might be trying to take action initially when she's like trying to do the investigation. She's the one who's like getting them into places and stuff like that. But eventually, she just becomes one of the dolls that's manipulated by Lopan, right? And becomes one of his prizes that he's gonna sacrifice.
Yeah.
Um, and so they do a real bad job of giving this woman agency. I feel in it, and it's the 80s. It's not something that people are conscious of, although they should be because women should have been respected throughout history. But here we are. Um, and so yeah, so I feel like
It,
Gracie
it was
Law,
the 80s. Ain't
yeah.
nobody getting respected in the
Right,
80s.
only white people, white men who are affluent get respected in the 80s, as most of human history has demonstrated. Um, but yeah, and I feel like she herself, the actress, is kind of like doing it because she knows that it's with Kurt Russell and she knows it's a John Carpenter film. But if she had her druthers, she probably wouldn't have chosen this role. Like her agent was like, "It'll be good for your career," and she was like, "Okay." It's kind of the feeling I get from it. I have no quotes to back that up. That's just kind of the me venting. And as you know from this episode in particular, sometimes they'll say shit and it absolutely is meaningless. I don't know what I'm talking about. So these are just, observations that I believe I've made. Um,
And and John Carpenter didn't write Big Trouble in Little China. He wasn't a writer from what I understand. He was just the director.
okay, okay, he didn't write it. Okay, and that would make sense. Yeah, whatever. And but also, directors directors are a writer in a way because there will be stuff that happens on set, either like interpretation or cutting scenes or changing lines and stuff like that, or giving people motivations. And so they have like a writer's influence if they're not specifically a writer. Who was the writer for this movie, by the way?
The writers were Gary Goldman,
Okay.
David Z. Weinstein,
Uh,
and W.D. Richter.
So now we are beginning to understand why the women are mistreated or treated poorly in this movie, given that when the Weinsteins was one of the writers on it, they were like, yeah, show up, have boobs.
Well, yeah,
Don't be male and have
that's
boobs.
what the 80s was about, was
Well,
basically tits and ass when it came
y
to women.
yeah, 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 exactly. I mean, the whole sex sells is definitely pretty common and has been, and I think that we do see it worse in the 80s more than I don't know about worse. I don't know about worse. I mean, we had a whole pre-code set of movies, which is about showing off women in general too, and exploiting them for the attraction that people have towards them. Um, so okay, there's that. I'm just sort of caveating that because we watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I feel like is a very well controlled script that they did everything that they wanted to specifically. And I'm just commenting that this movie, if you're comparing it to the last one we did and then wondering why we do that, it's a little bit more messy in the production. than Everything Everywhere All at Once. But the reason we're recommending this is it's a very fun ride, even given what I'm calling out as some of the problems with the movie. So I'm not dogging on it,
Oh yeah.
in case you're wondering. I'm saying it's a symptom of its time and place. It only can exist in this genre in this decade. It would be a very different movie if it was made today. And so, we celebrate these Syck Flicks for being the types of movies that they are in their time and place, right? Like the review that we did of Kiss Me Stupid, right? Like we're like, well,
Yep.
not quite, not quite what you'd want, but it's like 68 or 69 when they make that movie, and so you're like, understandable. Like this is how they were.
Things were.
Yeah, this is how they are. Um, it does go to a really cool scene um, where they go get the truck back, I think, and that's how they get into the warehouse
We have
on the
to. We
elevator.
have
Did I
to.
miss something?
We have to. Um, the group discovers that they basically took Mao Yin to a brothel
Yeah.
where they
Oh,
sell
that's right.
women.
Oh, I forgot how. Yeah, the whole this movie is sex trafficking the fun romp. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, super problematic. That's like that's what Lopan's front is, right? And I guess I mean he's a
But
villain,
when
so
they're trying to rescue Mao Yin,
he's
the
chained to a
storms
bed.
come in. The storms come in and start wreaking havoc and
Yeah.
capture her, and, you know, and bring her to Lopan. So
Okay. Right.
that's
Right.
why they
The
have
gang.
to.
Yes.
That's when they go to the business front that's used by Lopan and impersonate telephone repairmen to gain
Hmm.
access, but are quickly subdued by Rain, the uh, the one warrior known as Rain from the Three Storms.
Gotcha. They
After being tied up and beaten, they meet Lopan.
hold up, because there's one thing that we're skipping over, which is them taking the elevator down, and they eventually end up in the water, right, with all these dead bodies. Isn't that one of the
Yeah.
versions of
Oh
hell bringing
yeah,
them?
that's one of the hells.
Yeah,
That's one of the many Chinese hells,
yeah, so this
as they
warehouse
were
is really
called.
interesting because it's like so Lopan has like this like mini empire that he's running, and this becomes like one of the main sets that they're in is in this warehouse, the one that eventually gets blown up. Is it's super interesting to me because he has like set up these ways that he's like torturing and killing people. It's very much like the Chicago Kill Hotel, like H. Holmes' Kill Hotel, but there's all these little deviations of rooms that are set up specifically to kill people because they keep running into these dead bodies. And this is the first one in the
Yeah.
movie because to me it's so cool and so gross because they get put down in this water and then they find out that they're surrounded by bodies that are decaying, like the smell alone, like the greasy feeling of the water because of that the decay of the stuff that's happening. Like it's so disgusting, and I was there for it. I love it. I love that they went there. It's just so gross. There's some other dead bodies that you run into later that aren't nearly as gross, but this is the one where I'm like, damn.
No, there are. But yeah,
And then they
I
run into
think that
Lopan, because
yeah
he's
they
he's and
they
he's
get beaten and then they meet Lopan, and at that point
what.
he's just a little old man.
Yeah, that's the like interesting thing for me about this character is that he is an ancient man who is in a wheelchair when they first meet him. I mean, they did meet him outside. They ran him over. They found out that he's invincible. But then also they run into this guy who actually has kind of a good motivation. Um, he says that you're not brought into this world to understand it. He's actually just trying to appease this demon that he as a sorcerer has become enslaved to, right? Isn't that how he's trying to like break out of it? Like he's under this curse and he's trying to break the curse. Like
Here,
he's not excited to live this long life, but he is still evil, so he continues on. Something along those lines.
well, when they're locked in the cell, Wang tells here. This is from IMDb. Wang tells Jack that Lopan needs a green-eyed girl to break an ancient curse, and he intends to sacrifice Malian.
Yeah.
Centuries ago, Lopan was defeated in battle by Emperor Qi Wang, who cursed Lopan with
Oh,
incorporeality.
incorporeality. He doesn't have a body anymore.
Yeah, the state or quality of being incorporeal or bodiless. Yeah,
Incorporeal. Yeah, yeah,
Lopan can temporarily obtain a decrepit body by by supplication by supplication to the gods, but he must marry and sacrifice Malian to fully lift his curse.
yeah. Um, okay, cool. That kind of makes sense. Um, it yeah, and so and then again they call out, and I think you'd call that too. But here's the date that they say in the movie is 287 A.D. is how long that he's been cursed for, and he's been walking the earth.
Yeah,
So he's in some ways he's slightly younger than the Legend of Jesus, right? So
yeah.
like it's like amazing, like the length of time, and how he got to America. I would love to see Lopan's story. Like that to me would have been an interesting story to end like in like the Big Trouble in Little China ending is like the rise of this villain, and the only person who can defeat him is Jack Burton. Um, I also like one of the shots that they do, which is like an early 80s shot of technology where he comes in to see his prize, the woman that he's going to sacrifice, and he's like a
He
ghost though.
walks through the walls.
He walks through the wall and then he like reaches out to touch her and he's like passing through her. It's a very 80s effect, that translucent thing. They love to do it when they could. And so they're doing it in this movie and I'm there for it.
I love 80s effects work. I'm sorry, a lot of people don't. They're like, oh, well, everything looks better now. I'm like, it looks
Uh,
fake now.
yeah, it does look
It
more
looks
fake
straight
now.
up fake.
They were really
Like,
trying to make their special effects as so that you would notice them less. That was the idea, that they were supposed to blend kind of seamlessly. They didn't always do a good job because the limited technology. But stuff like Star Wars, right? Like it's the idea that they were building practical effects that you could practically light. They would have them fly through a practical space, right? And that's why those space battles in the early Star Wars look fantastic. And in my opinion, the modern space battles that they have are kind of cheesy. They don't have the same. They don't feel like they have the same sort of weight to them. And I mean like the physicality of the weight.
we are
Um,
joined by another co host, people of YouTube,
oh,
Luna, the cat.
hey Luna, the cat, welcome. Uh, would you give this movie two paws up or two paws down?
Two paws up.
Two
She
paws
gave
up.
two paws up.
So there we have the two paws up. Um, so and, of course she did love this movie, and as well
I
as
think she just loves Kurt Russell.
I mean, who couldn't? If you're a pussy, and you're looking to be stroked, you gotta love Kurt Russell.
Definitely. Why do you think Goldie Hawn married him?
Yeah, yeah, that is. I
They
do.
might not be married. I don't know.
Well, I think they were married. I think they were married. I think that they're divorced now. But yeah.
Oh, are they no longer together?
Um, or are they one of the longest running couples in Hollywood? I can't remember. Do you want to Google it real quick so we can share that? Yeah, I can't remember actually. I know that they were together for a long time. Um, their daughter is the famous like rom-com actress. She's done other things too, but she was more famous for being a rom-com actress in the 90s. Um, whose name is escaping me at the moment. Um, but obviously, Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn making a child, like that, yeah, um, fantastic. They introduce a new character at this point too, which is a reporter character who's trying to get the big scoop. And with all of these women, again,
This is from 2025.
okay,
Um, Despite never marrying, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell are one of the longest standing couples in Hollywood and have been together since 1983.
oh wow,
That's
okay,
from
cool.
People magazine.
That is a cool thing to call out. They never got married, but they've been very committed to each other, which means that their relationship has lasted a lot longer than most marriages in Hollywood.
Oh my
So
God! It talks about a simple pickup line he used. I have to know what he said to get Goldie Hawn.
um, hey, have you ever met Kurt Russell before? That would be probably the easiest one. Would you like to in a more intimate setting? Although I don't see him
He
being.
was 16 and okay, she was 21, he was 16, and while the actress
Ooh,
thought he was too young to date at the time,
yeah.
she remembered him making a strong first impression. I thought he was adorable, but he was much too young, the actress said in a 2012 appearance on
Clearly,
BBC.
yeah.
And then years later, we met up again, and I liked him, and I remember that I liked him very much when I first met him. But we both said we would never go out with another actress, so it just shows you can never tell. Nearly two
Ah,
decades,
I don't like this
they,
scene. It's making me so uncomfortable. He was a
uh,
minor when they met. Oh, okay, and she liked him then.
yeah,
What the hell? I mean, they do have a
I
long
think,
lasting relationship, but damn, that really, damn, I'm feeling so uncomfortable right now.
well, in all fairness, it was only a 5 year difference, but they
Yes, but he
acknowledged that
was
he
a
was too
minor.
young.
Yeah, okay, and she did.
Yeah,
Okay, right.
they did not date until he was older.
Sure, but she says that she remembered him being okay. I guess he could still be handsome, and she could be like, "That's a handsome boy," and not be attracted to him. That's that. I'm still feeling some ick on
The
that.
first thing that came out, the first thing he said to her was, "Man, you got a great figure."
And she's like,
That's
"Yeah."
so Kurt Russell.
I mean that is. You can just see him like casually saying that. Yeah. Uh,
Let me see how old he was when they first got together. That's something that needs to be known.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. And again, I love that they never married, but they've had a kid, they've worked together, they've been together. Um, I think that that's so cute, and sweet. Uh, all right, so the women get captured. We have about 15 minutes before I thought 10 minutes. We got to wrap this up, and we're about less than halfway through. Um, But no, okay, maybe not. But the women come in to come save the men who got trapped in the warehouse. They also get captured and put in cages for the sex trafficking. Um, and then they find out that they have green eyes, and the plot develops that Lopan's going to have two women instead of one, uh, so they can do it. And then they start moving towards the ceremony of making them possible for it. Um,
Well, in their escape, they escaped. They saved a bunch of the women that were subjugated to human trafficking, and Gracie Law gets captured by a monster that
oh,
works
right.
for Lopan, and
We need to
then
call out the
that's
monster
when
that's half like xenomorph and half Wookiee. That's the best description I've got for you. It's very John Waters. Like as soon as I saw that, God, did I say that again? It's very John Carpenter. It's very John and an American word, an English word as a last name. It's very John Stovepipe. Sorry, I will stop being stupid. Because of course, you have to have some creatures in a John Carpenter film, and it's not
yeah.
the
Well, then we get let's jump ahead a bit. We get to the point. Lopan discovers Gracie Law has green eyes. Egg Shen turns out to be a sorcerer that
yeah,
he reveals to Kurt Russell it's his destiny to fight Lopan. So
yeah,
they form a small army to infiltrate Lopan. They go through basically
like the sewers of
the
San Francisco.
it's something far below the sewers. It's like the old world, where you can see what's called the black blood of the earth.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was going on.
He's like oil. He's like, no, I mean black blood of the earth.
Wow. But yeah, low underneath San Francisco, and they have the pole that drops them down there and allows them to get access to the warehouse. Um, and they come across this big ceremony that's happening that Lopan is getting them. He's having them face the flaming sword, which seems like a metaphor. And they have to touch the pearly ball, which seems like a metaphor, um, in order to, in order to, uh,
Okay, this should make you feel a little better.
okay.
He didn't start dating her till he was in his 30s.
I feel a lot better about that, actually. Yeah, yeah, that means that that she's not creepy. Goldie Hawn is not a creep in any kind of way, uh, because women can be pedophiles too. So,
Oh,
um,
I know that from experience.
oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Yeah, literally sucks. I mean, you got to be careful around all people. You gotta keep an eye on all people, and make sure that they're not freaking deviants. Because touching kids is
Oh yeah.
wrong, guys. We're gonna take a stance, even if that loses all the monetization on this channel. Um,
Yes.
because they cannot consent. They cannot be. There's no equal level. Doesn't matter how you think of yourself. Like a kid is not developed enough to have any sort of relationship with, except for protecting them and keeping them, out of harm's way. That's literally the only relationship you can have with a kid because they're basically an animal. They're like a humanoid animal at that point. Their brain is not cooked. They haven't developed into full humans yet. Stop touching kids. So. But then also in the midst of the ceremony as they're coming through, we meet another creature that's living in that the dark underworld, which is like
Yeah, and he's
parasite or
like,
something. Comes out of gap.
yeah, and he's like, "You shall come out no more." And Kurt Russell's like, "What? What shall come out no more?" But basically, to jump ahead because we're low on time here, they infiltrate their way back
Yeah.
into the warehouse through the forest of dead trees. I think is what it's called.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's like a hidden underworld, but then yeah, and then a lot of the end of this movie is just like a bunch of fighting. Like it's just like a bunch of scenes
Yeah,
of them
it's
fighting different
literally
things. Which is fun. I mean, it's a fun way to get that action magic in because you see the green versus purple going on from Egg, and these guys all got super powered right before they go in to go do this because they drink a
there's a
potion.
meme. There's a meme out there of an exploding guy too. That actually came
Oh,
from this
and it
movie.
comes from this one. Yeah, it's one of the warriors this from the storm. Um, a guy finally gets beaten because he overinflates himself and explodes. So
No, he does that because well, all right. So Lopan becomes corporeal at that point,
right because he
and
started the process.
he
Yeah.
doesn't get the chance to sacrifice Gracie Law, so he decides he may have to sacrifice Mao Yin, but he tries taking advantage of her before that, and
Right.
she won't have anything to do with it, and eventually they get to the point where Jack's in the room and he's like giving monologue and stuff, and finally he's like, "Well, remember what old Jack Burton says that time?" Like that. That's where that line of
Yeah. Who?
"Who? Jack
Me.
Burton? Me?"
Me.
That's where that comes from, and then a
Yeah.
fight ensues. Wang comes in and fights the storm, and like their fight is hilarious because they go into a separate room, and you just see it looks like something out of Scooby Doo, where like you see
Yeah.
them running back and
Yeah.
forth in front of the doors,
It's
and
so
like
funny.
things are flying back
Yeah.
and forth in
They're
the
like,
room.
John Carpenter was like, we're not gonna spend the day to film that. Let's just do the sequence like this. You know what I mean? It's a bit. They're like
Yeah.
definitely like it's a bit. Um, and that's what's funny about this movie is it really doesn't take itself too seriously. That's why it can run off the rails in some ways, because it's not really taking itself too seriously. It's a fun summer movie. That's what it was supposed to be. He was never really expecting that it was going to become like a classic of the '80s. Because how can you predict that sort of stuff? It's all about circumstantial time and place and the way that people respond to it.
Oh yeah, it was an enjoyable movie,
And it is. I'll give you
but
that. Like it is really enjoyable. Like it's fun to run around in Chinatown, and it's fun to have fights, with magic and swords. It's fun to have this white hero who's trying to like I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a white guy, but Kurt Russell is fun to watch. Run around and be the hero. Um,
But we have to acknowledge the climax where it's like the big showdown between him and Lopan, and
yeah.
he throws his knife and it hits a gong, and Lopan like walks over and picks it up. He's like, "This is a good knife. Goodbye, Jack Burton." And he
Yeah.
throws the knife at him. Jack catches the knife and throws it back and nails Lopan in the head.
He does. Yeah. It's quick and it's easy. And that to me, I was like, huh, right? Like the guy,
It's all in the reflexes.
yeah, he's like, it's all in the reflexes. But like after so much fighting and after so much to do, the one knife blade to the head, I was like, huh, that was really anticlimactic. Um, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, the building explodes afterwards, so he's definitely crushed by it. Um, but yeah, like just like this ancient like evil was killed by a single knife throw. You know, I guess it just shows how good Jack Burton is, right?
Yeah, it was all meant to like basically be one of those 80s. Look at this guy. You want to be like this guy.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
He's a
yeah,
man.
yeah.
He's a
He
man's
definitely.
man.
Yeah, it's Rambo in Little China, right? Like that's the idea.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, he's your man's man, and so yeah, you're doing that. And then I think a statue falls on Lopan after that.
All the statues like topple over, like an
Oh, that's right,
earthquake
because
happens,
his
and
magic
all the
collapses.
statues topple over in like a domino effect.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like you can just see Kim Cattrall watching it, like, huh, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, oh, okay, this is the plot of the movie that we're in.
And
Um,
then they have to escape, and they think they run into lightning. Yeah, they run into lightning, and like they. One of my favorite things is the little like device that Egg Shen has, which is a little crossbow with a pulley system.
yeah, that
I'm
supports
like, why
everybody's
the
weight.
fuck is there no patent on this shit? Like it can pulley up an entire human.
Yeah, yeah.
Why is this not on the market? You're driving around a tour bus and you're
Right,
making little crossbows with pulley systems. Come
right.
on, man.
Yeah, you could
You
be doing
think
way
about
better.
it.
Well, and maybe that's just part of
Exactly.
his cover. Like, he's like keeping an eye on the people who come into town by like driving a tourist bus. I'm not sure. Eggshen's motivation is super weird. I would have loved to see his like. This is the thing, right? Like, I would have loved to see Lopan being cursed in the beginning of the movie, the struggle in ancient China. I would have loved to see him through the ages and how he's been trying to find this girl. I would like to see this ancient wizard Egg Chen like going up against him, or the series like the group that passed down from generation to generation this like fear and understanding that Lopan will rise again as he's trying to accomplish his goal, right? And it's this group that's keeping him at bay. That would have been like a real fun movie because a lot of these questions are unanswered. Like why is Egg Chen? Why does he do what he does? Like how does he know about this stuff? Like, why is he so talented and seemingly rich? Because earlier they were in this warehouse that he owned. He apparently owned like a whole city block or something like that. It's like this big thing. He's like, oh yeah, this is all mine. And so it's like, who is this guy? We never really get that in the movie.
And there's a lot of stuff that kind of
And I don't think you're
I
supposed
just
to.
posted
Like
a
I
I just I just posted in the chat the guy expanding and exploding because that's a meme. That's a
it
meme in
is, yeah, it
itself.
is, yeah. Well, it is, and you guys have probably seen if you didn't know where it was from, the chat that the image that he's putting up in the chat um, is that you can check it out if you want to go to our website coxinspace.com. Go to our Discord. You can get on our Discord. You can hang out with us while we're doing these things. But yeah, so that's the one that he's posting so that y'all can see. You have seen it before. It's steam coming out a man's nose as his face is highly inflated. It's definitely a John Carpenter effect. It's one of those things like
Oh
from The
yeah,
Thing that you'd be like, "Yep, wow, they did spend a lot of time getting that shot, creating the props and casting the dude's head and all those things." Um, and then the final scenes are interesting. It's this really so after all that action adventure, after winning against Lopan, there is like this basically like a come down scene where everyone's just like hanging out and celebrating how what a good job they did, which to
yep.
me
They
is
get his truck back,
they
and
do
they
get his truck
escape in his
back,
truck.
and
Yeah,
he's about to hit the road again, which is fair if it's a series. It makes sense that you would have him, checking out of Little China, and then getting his truck, and then something interesting happens. Gracie Law says that she's basically willing to give up her law practice in San Francisco, which is she's well connected and making a lot of money apparently, to go on the road with Jack Burton. That's the offer that she makes. And then he turns her
and
down.
he's like, eventually everyone gets tired of me. I'm like, I feel that. I
Hmm.
feel that.
Hmm.
I understand where this man is coming from. Yes, yes, she probably has good pussy, but it's probably not worth it.
Well, yeah, he knows that he's tough to be around, is what he says. And then the woman who was playing the reporter, she's like, "Aren't you even gonna kiss her goodbye?" And he's like, "Nah."
I fucking love that.
And that's where the relationship ends. Like, this is one of the things that for me about this movie is there's no real payoff. Like they were building this, they have sexual tension, they're gonna be in her, like there's the settle, and then he just goes, nah, you know. Um, and then leads up to this because we have to talk about the alternate ending. But it leads up to this. We see Jack driving down the road doing his normal thing, and then it
I've never seen
slides
the alternate ending.
slides back to the tail, and we see the half xenomorph, half Wookiee creature is actually hiding under his truck, and it comes crawling out, and it does the dun dun dun. There's more trouble coming, but obviously a 40-year-old movie has no sequel, so. It's like at the ending
Hold
of
on.
Mac and Me, where it's like, see you soon. And obviously, there's no follow up to the movie Mac and Me either.
Yeah,
Much to
hold
the
on.
much to the chagrin
We
of
have the last lines that are in the film. Just remember what old Jack Burton does when the earth quakes and the poison arrows fall from the sky and the pillars of heaven shake. Yeah, Jack Burton just looks that big old storm right square in the eye and he says, "Give me your best shot, pal. I can take it."
I can take it. Fantastic. I mean, the Jack Burton character, like I said, as a TV series, super fun. As a series of films, probably would have been real fun. We never really got it. We could get a Kurt Russell
He's
sequel,
so
especially.
full of himself too.
He
Like
is.
there's a line, everybody relax. I'm here.
I'm here. And that's it. I mean, we kind of do love this character for being that way, and that's what I think really
He's a
does.
bit of an asshole too. I'd
Mhm.
go with you, but I know there's a problem with your face. Talking to Gracie Law, I'm like, damn.
And he really is. And again, the very cold. Nah, he's not even gonna give her a kiss, even though they have sexual tension. You know what I mean? He's just like, yeah, I'm not. That's not my. I'm not interested in this. Um,
But overall, I give this movie a 10.
okay, 10,
Overall,
10 out of 10.
I because of how enjoyable it is, I rank it a 10 in my book.
And I think that's why
But
it is
you
getting such a high
but in
rating.
all fairness, you've seen the things I love. Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer.
And I think I think you're actually with a lot of people. I think that's why this movie does get a 7.2, even though the quality of film isn't where you see a lot of other 7.2 films. Um, we have reviewed some that I'm like, yeah, that was a 7.2, and it deserves a lot better in my opinion because of the quality of the filmmaking. But on IMDb, we're generally talking about popularity, which is why I use that metric, is because we're talking about that this is a very popular film, and it's popular for a lot of reasons. It's a very fun ride. It's an early Kurt Russell film. It's a John Carpenter film. Fun special effects, very 80s in all its style. Um, so
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like it's not one to be
And
missed
like
only for
They Live was 2 years after this, I think.
okay.
It said, let me check.
And so yeah,
It
you get to
says,
see.
let me see.
And I think a lot of people have nostalgia for it too, because they probably saw it in the summer. In the summertime when and it was a fun ride, and it's pretty memorable. There's lots of things in this movie that you don't get to see in other movies, um, and I think that that's one of the things that people enjoy. The novelty of a movie. That's why I enjoy this movie. Is because I'm like, dude, you like the reason that you should watch this is the reason that you should watch, say, Gummo. Like you're not going to see the content of this movie in other movies. It's just too weird, which is a compliment. Um, just being too weird and unique. I would prefer to see a movie that is unusual and badly done, um, than a movie that is good and pretentious. So that's just me. Um, I'm trying to think of one. Meet the Focker, not Meet the Fockers. Meet the Deedles is a great example. Peter Jackson's Meet the Feebles. It's not
Uh,
great, but it is very unique. So yeah, if you
there's a lot of movies that are very unique, but they're not great, you
yeah, and
know.
for me, you're like, you're like, you see the things I love, and I'm like, yeah, you've seen the things that I love. I love something that a movie is not. You're not going to see this movie anywhere else. And that's what I'd say about Big Trouble in Little China is that you're not going to see this movie anywhere else. You for the ride that it is, you'll definitely enjoy it. Also, I want to point out that the Big Trouble Little China theme that runs over the credits was written by John Carpenter, um, and it's
He does
so
pretty much
80s.
all the music for his stuff. Like,
It's so
you
80s
know
with the
the
synth.
theme from Assault on Precinct? Dun 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 dun
He
dun.
did that one too?
Dun. Yep,
Huh.
he did the Halloween theme.
Okay. That's fair. That's a
He
that's
did
that's a good one.
all that music.
That's good. This one I would say is one of one of his worst tracks for being just so fucking cheesy. It's very 80s, but like it's so cheesy. I would play it except for I think we got probably lose the we won't you wouldn't be able to hear it because it'd have to be taken out.
I
For
understand.
but guys, check it out if you can. The end of Big Trouble in Little China, to even hear the track. I would recommend watching this movie again. It is fun. It is of the time, so there is some things that if you're a younger viewer who's sensitive, because we don't get to see it as much. There's just stuff in it that again you're not going to see anywhere else. Um, Overall, so you give it a 10. I would say overall, um, like fun ride, I would give like an 8. As a Kurt Russell film, I would probably give like a 9 because there's a lot of movies. He delivers solid movies all the time. I'd say he delivers a solid movie. As a
Yeah, he's a
John
good
Waters film,
actor.
yeah, I'd probably give it as like a 7. It's probably up there as one of his better movies. Um, and overall, I would say it's probably like a 4.5 or 5. Like on like as far as overall movie quality of compared to literally every other film, I would say that this is one that if you get a chance to see it, you should. You're not going to miss out on anything if you don't, but it is very fun, and you will miss the reference of what it is. Um, like this movie, like like Over the Top, um, Roadhouse. Those are movies that like of this time period that if you want to know about 80s films, you should know this movie. So I would throw that out there. That's probably the one where I'd say like it'd probably be like 5.5 or 6 of movies that you would you should be seeing, if you want to have like some vocabulary on films. And
And he's been in a few movies.
so those
Sorry,
that's
I was looking at John Carpenter as an actor, and he was Dr. Faraday in the video game version of The Thing,
that's awesome.
but he was a Norwegian in the actual movie version. He was one of the Norwegians.
Interesting. All right. Well, we do have to wrap this up because we are almost out of time here. Um, but yeah, no, I'm glad that we reviewed this movie. I think that it's really fun, and especially for James Hung. I think I mean, that was the reason we watched it. His performance in this movie is fantastic. For that, I would give it a 10. I would say that seeing James Hong in this role is definitely worth it. Um,
It's a fun movie, and if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend you go out and see it.
Yeah, make sure that you see it. Next week we are going to be reviewing Patrick Stewart's Safe House, not to be confused with Denzel Washington's Safe House from 1998. Tune in for that. It's one of my favorite movies. I love Patrick Stewart for one, and then this movie to me, first of all, it's a sleeper because a lot of people don't know about it, and secondly, it's very very interesting for the things that I find interesting, which is the psychological aspect of the film. Um, which Dylan, I don't think you did. You look it up when I suggested it?
Yeah, I have to check it out, but I'm gonna watch it.
So check this out. This is my favorite thing about it is Patrick Stewart being claiming to be a retired like government agent, secret government agent, who has Alzheimer's and might be hunted by his enemies that he made in the past. And it's real fun. It definitely it does. It's a taut thriller.
Okay, the fact he was in this playing a retired government agent, and then he's in American Dad as the CIA director. That's just funny.
I think that is that might be a nod to this movie. Um, there is another one where he's in. Well, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the Faculty, which where I think that he is the principal or something in that movie, but that's not. It's not a government
I
agency.
don't think he was in the Faculty. I don't
Is it not
remember
the
John
Faculty?
Stewart.
It's something that has a very similar plot where the staff is taken over by an alien or something, and the kids have to like break him out. Um,
I
but
don't remember John Stewart being in the
no,
Faculty.
no,
I
no. Yeah, I
love the
might be completely wrong
Faculty.
about that. I might be they came out at similar times and they have a similar aesthetic, or they have like maybe Josh Hartnett is in both of them. Anyway, I'll look it up. We can talk about it next week. Yeah, so we're gonna be reviewing that. Thank you guys for tuning in to Syck Flicks with Dylan and Skip today and listening to this review with us. I hope you enjoyed it and you got some insight into it. If you want to get more information about Cox in Space, you can go to coxinspace.com. That's coxinspace.com. You can watch the animation that we have up there. You can catch up with us as creators. You can get involved with our Patreon, our Discord, our YouTube, our Facebook. You can also go check out the other shows that we have from the last year of when we were making the show and all the great guests that we had in 2025. We will likely be starting a new season here in 2026 when we get the next phase of this project kicked off. So look for that as that's coming down the pike this year. Dylan, you want to give a shout out to your socials?
Um, Please check me out on all socials at Autistic Spitfire Comedy. That's Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And on Facebook, you can find me under Dylan Patrick Farr. Give me a follow. I could use it. Thank you,
Good.
guys.
And also check him out because his comedy is really, really funny. That's the reason that we hang out together is because I find Dylan to be so funny. So yeah, if you have not heard his comedy, you're missing out because it's really fun stuff. But thank you for being here with us. Thank you for following us as we have been working on this project. We really, really appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.